next presenter is Laura McConnell, who is an experienced teacher with 11 years of experience in the mainstream primary sector as a classroom teacher, behavior support teacher, and support for learning teacher. Also acted for a period as also was for a period an acting principal teacher. Now working in the additional supports needs sector, Laura is back at the roots of her education career, which started in a play scheme for disabled children while she was a student at the university. Diagnosed as autistic, dyslexic, ADHD, and having PTSD, Laura was finally able to make sense of a lot of her struggles in school, in social dynamics, and with eating disorders throughout her earlier life. Now, a proud neurodiversity advocate, Laura is passionate about improving access to healthcare, outcomes in education, and experiences with the criminal justice service for neurodivergent individuals. Laura brings a wealth of professional expertise mixed with research knowledge and her own lived experiences to all her speaking engagements, leaving audiences inspired and ready to make changes. Um, since starting a peer support network for autistic teachers during the first wave of the COVID pandemic in UK, Laura was surprised to find so many join requests from autistic teachers around the world. Quickly, it became very apparent that not all autistic teachers felt able to disclose their autism at work. Soon after, Laura linked up with the Autistic Doctors International, Police Autism UK, and a neurodivergent professionals forum with an autism subgroup to form the Autistic Professionals Network. Each group found that the same problems exist across the professions. There are many autistic professionals across different sectors who feel they cannot disclose autism at work. What are the barriers to disclosing autism as a professional? Are these barriers real or perceived? How can leaders support their autistic employees? Laura will address all these issues and talk about ways autistic professionals can support each other within their sector. Laura, over to you.
So yeah, my presentation is called The Hidden Autistic Workforce, and this is a sort of area that I've been really interested in researching for the last year. It has a bit of a British perspective to it because the research that I've looked at comes from the UK, but I'm pretty sure that the people that are listening from other countries will be able to identify with it in their own place, and I'm sure there's similar issues around the world. So just as Rakshita had said in her introduction there, I'm a teacher. I work in the additional support needs sector, which in Scotland we call it the ASN, additional support needs sector. In England they call it special educational needs. So I'm not in mainstream schools. The children that I teach are predominantly autistic, have a learning disability, or both. I'm a writer, I write for different publications, usually education or health based, and also have my own radio show in the UK, and a commercial radio station that is geared towards teachers. It's called Representation Matters, and it's I like to amplify the voices of disabled people. I do a lot of speaking at different events, and I'm involved in different disability related campaigns. And today there's really three questions that I want to sort of think about. Who are the hidden autistic workforce? Why are they hidden? And how can we support them within within our own sectors and within our own families as well? So who are the hidden autistic workforce? Well, autistic people around the world exist in every single career, exist in every single workspace, but we don't always know or appreciate that. There's a very fixed idea of what autistic people are like. Sometimes that fixed idea comes from the media. Sometimes that fixed idea comes from the representation in films. I heard Sophia mentioned earlier on about Rain Man. The film Rain Man has given people for generations a very fixed idea of what autism looks like. Also, Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory has given people a very fixed idea on what autistic people, maybe people with the Asperger's diagnosis, and how they would present. Also, more recently, there's the film Music by Sia, which thankfully has not done very well around the world. It gave people a very very fixed and stereotypical idea of what autism looks like. There's also, I find, quite a fixed idea of what autism looks like that comes from people who have met one autistic person. They maybe have an autistic child or an autistic niece or nephew, and they think that the autism then presents like that in everyone. And I know that I have been told many times by people that, oh, you don't look autistic, which I always find really puzzling, because there's not a certain look about us that you can't tell whether we're autistic just by looking at our face. I've been told that I don't sound autistic. I'm not quite sure what that means. They maybe have a very fixed idea of the way that an autistic person should speak. And I've also been told by many people that no one could tell if I was autistic or not. And I think that sometimes comes from a place of kindness. I think that people think that they are trying to tell me that I blend in and that no one could tell, and basically, for want of a better word, I appear normal. And I think that they think that's a good thing, that they are trying to communicate. But really what they're trying to say is that autism is something that is strange, autism is something that is not accepted, and you don't, but it's okay, you're actually someone that we will accept. And I think this is a really deeply problematic attitude. So, but autistic people exist in every single profession that there is. These are some of my autistic friends. You'll see Sophia, who was speaking earlier on, is one of my good friends, who was really the inspiration for starting the Autistic Teachers Group. Sophia contacted me after I had spoken at an event before and said that she was also an autistic teacher, and I had a few friends who were as well, and we decided together, well, if we're a small group of 4 of us who are autistic teachers, then maybe there are others out there just like us. Why don't we start a Facebook group? So we did, and after advertising our Facebook group on Twitter, within days, we were getting messages from lots of people, and we consistently get messages from teachers all around the world who are also autistic. There are autistic lawyers that are out there. Matthew, I think, is actually in the audience today. I saw his name. We have autistic accountants, doctors, tech executives, politicians, researchers, psychologists. Autistic people exist in every single profession that there are. However, what some of these people who are on my screen have told me is that in their profession, they felt that they possibly couldn't always disclose. They felt very lonely to begin with. They felt that there maybe wasn't other people like them, and that's what we found in our teachers group too. So we found that we thought that we were the only people that were going through the challenges that we were in our own profession, and felt very lonely, until we, I suppose, found our tribe of fellow people that did the same type of job as us, and also shared the same challenges as us as well. So why do autistic people feel that they need to be hidden in the workforce? And there is a multitude of reasons for that. Sometimes it's because they're still processing their autism diagnosis, especially if you're late diagnosed. It could have come because your children have been diagnosed as autistic and then you have been diagnosed in that process, or for a lot of people, autism is diagnosed amidst a mental health crisis, and it takes a while to process your diagnosis and what that means to you. So that might not be something that you're comfortable with sharing with your workplace. Workplace culture is a big barrier to disclosure of autism in a professional environment. In schools, there's quite a lot of evidence that the way that other teachers speak about autism is a barrier to diagnosis. And there's a project at the University College London called the Autistic Teachers Project, and these told a story of one head teacher who was told by a member of staff that we shouldn't be taking these sorts of children in our school, they should be in a special school. And she found it then, how do you then respond to someone who has spoken so negatively about autism and then say, well, I'm autistic? And that can be quite a big barrier. I know myself, I've had quite I've felt very uncomfortable in staff room situations where people have spoken negatively about autism or autistic children in general, and it's then difficult to turn that conversation round by announcing that you're actually autistic, because it can look like you're being awkward, and it can look like you're being challenging to the person that said it, and lead to a bit of conflict. Also, witnessing discrimination of other colleagues. If someone else has disclosed and come out as autistic in the workplace, and you know that they have been discriminated against, then it's very difficult for you to then disclose that, so you can then it's for you to then be discriminated against as well. And also fears over career progression, a fear that they might not be able to gain promotion or to move forward in their career. And there is a bit of evidence that that is true. The Institute of Leadership and Management in 2020 reported that 25% of employers said that they would not employ an autistic person, and 50% of those employers said that they wouldn't employ a neurodivergent person when it was taken into account questions about ADHD, dyslexia, autism, etc. So there is evidence out there that it can affect career progression if you announce that you are autistic in the workplace. So how can we support other autistic professionals? And one of the best solutions that we and our different groups have come up with is by creating peer support networks, and these are online. In fact, only today I happened to come across one that was for neurodivergent therapists, but I didn't have enough time to add their link to this slide. But there's lots of different groups already existing. The Police Autism UK have a great forum for autistic police officers. There's a neurodivergent media group for people who work in the media. Autistic Doctors International for any doctors who are autistic. We have an autistic teachers group, and as I said, there's also a neurodivergence in the Royal Navy group, after one of the admirals in the Royal Navy disclosed that he was also autistic. So when you have joined up with fellow professionals who understand your job and understand the challenges in your job and in your place of work, but also understand the challenges and the positives of being autistic, then it's good to find that sort of community. So what can you do now if you are an autistic professional who is looking to sort of find that type of support? You can either join an existing network or start one for your own industry. Share your experiences where you feel safe to, by either talking in your workplace or online. Support other autistic professionals in any way you can, and help smash those stigmas about autism, but do it in a way that is safe to you, in a way that won't result in discrimination for you. So those are just some of my contact details. That's my website at the top, and then teacherhub.co.uk is the radio station. If you're outside of the UK, unfortunately, to listen to any of the shows, you have to have a VPN to listen to them. But I do talk to a lot of fellow autistic people on there, and it might be of interest to you. So thank you very much for having me today, and thank you all for your presentations and for putting on such an inclusive event. It's been really wonderful to hear everyone in such a range of perspectives today.
Thank you so much, Laura. This was so. I'm an educator. I used to work in the school setup, and yes, it was. I heard this all the time. Autistic children are rapists. They can't grow up and be good human beings. They think too much of themselves. They're too difficult. And when I finally disclosed my autism at work, I was fired. So yeah, I wanted to disclose my autism because I wanted to disclose my autism, but then I wouldn't give that advice to everybody. I would say keep it to yourselves. Keep that information to yourselves.
it's a delicate balance of
Yeah.
trying to disclose your autism so that you can get the accommodations that you need to be able to work there effectively, but then also disclosing it and being discriminated against. It's quite a delicate balance to decide what is best for you.
Yeah, yeah. Our safety is more important. I think I learned it the hard way, that because I wanted that, no, I'm going to be authentic. I'm going to be myself. I'm not going to lie to anybody. Yeah, but then it had problems. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.